Selamat pagi menjelang siang, rekan-rekan mahasiswa. Mulai yang di belakang sendiri mungkin bisa agak ke depan, karena masih ada tempat di sini. Nah, yang baru datang, pas banget. Silahkan, masih ada tempat ya di depan, bisa diisi. Karena hari ini topiknya sangat menarik, pembicaranya juga very distinguished speaker. Tapi mungkin sebelum kita mulai sesi, saya ada beberapa slides. Perkenalkan, saya Satrio dari Binus Global. Kita unit di Binus yang menghandle terutama untuk study abroad. Mungkin rekan-rekan mahasiswa udah tahu, nanti di tahun ketiga ya, mungkin semester 5 atau 6 atau 7, kalian akan kalian wajib untuk ikut enrichment program kan, yang enrichment track. Nah, di salah satu track tersebut ada yang namanya track study abroad. So, study abroad mobility ya, untuk opsi study abroad ini mungkin sih ada dari kalian yang tertarik untuk studi di luar negeri, ikut program student exchange, pertukaran pelajar. Pernah dengar sebelumnya? Pernah ya, pasti pernah ya. Pertukaran pelajar, kalian studi selama 1 semester di universitas luar negeri, lalu pulang. Kredit yang kalian peroleh nanti akan ditransfer jadi SKS Binus. Okay, so here I am again. So let's start the session today. We have in this beautiful day, beautiful morning, we have what I have briefly mentioned, a very distinguished speaker from Trade and Investment in Queensland. So, Mr. Giles, is the commissioner from the TIQ, Queensland. And today, he is providing us with a very interesting session, especially for students from business school. Any one of you from business? Okay. Others? Business-related programs, BBS, Business School. Okay, but still, the topic is very relevant for you: entrepreneurship and job creation in Australia and its relation to Indonesia. So I think without further ado, please join us in welcoming Mr. Giles to the stage.
Hello, selamat siang semuanya. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Ben Giles, as you can see there. I work for Trade Investment Queensland. What we will talk about today is a little bit on entrepreneurship, but we'll also have prizes. So down here we have for quizzes. So we're going to have a quiz, and I'm very sorry, my bahasa Indonesia sedikit aja, so ini harus bicara bahasa Inggris, maaf ya. So let me just talk a little bit about got it. We'll just talk a little bit about entrepreneurship, what it is and what it means, and where I'm from in Australia. So where I work and my colleague here, Ibu Yama, it's Trade and Investment Queensland. We work with Australian and Queensland companies to do business in Indonesia. It's a lot of fun. It's good fun. And we meet lots of companies. We have 15 offices in 12 countries. So we have one office here in Jakarta, and we look after all of Indonesia. So we help Queensland companies come to Indonesia, and then Indonesian companies even invest in Queensland. And we also do a lot on education as well. So we try to get you guys to go to Queensland. So next, I'd like to ask, does anyone know Queensland? This is the first prize. Has anyone been to Queensland? No? Okay. That's Queensland. All right, so it's a little bit of everything. Beach, koalas, strange people, and horses. Wow, that's good. Okay, so that is a map of Australia, and you can probably see there that Queensland is that one on the top corner there. I'm actually from this little kampong down there called Adelaide in South Australia, so it's a little bit further south, but Queensland is that big province in the blue there. So that's where we're from. These are all our cities in Queensland, the capital. Now we've got a quiz coming up later as well, so the capital of Queensland is Brisbane, so that's where we work from, but these are all our other cities in that state. So that's about it for an introduction into Queensland. So I'd like to ask now, does anyone know what entrepreneurship is? Yeah, man. Get the prizes ready. No? Emma, can I ask you?
Okay. Thanks for putting me in the spot, man. Okay, entrepreneurship is the process of creating jobs and adding value.
Congratulations. Well done. I think that's about right, yeah. Okay, it's creating a business. So we start a business and make that business grow. And why do we make a business grow? So we can make money. That's the bottom line. But in today's world, it's something called innovation, and modern entrepreneur, I'd like to call it, it's called really changing the world by solving problems. We'll talk about Indonesia a bit more later, but that's very much what businesses are starting. They start a business because they see a problem and they want to solve it and make money as well. So that's really what my definition is, and it's also a link between entrepreneurship and innovation. So that crazy map there, it's very old, but the reason why I have that is that to show that in Queensland, our business is mining, and it's agriculture, so it's lots of farming. Queensland is a big state, but only 5 juta orang, 5 million people only live there, and our business is very traditional. But we make lots of money from that, but it's very, very same, very traditional business. You can see here that mining and agriculture is 80%. Wow. So 80% of our exports are mining and agriculture. So we export a lot to Indonesia, and around the world. But it's a traditional business. Can we do this forever? I think probably no, you cannot. So it's very important for us to, as a country in Australia, but also in Queensland, to find new ways to do business and new ways to generate jobs as well. So that's a really interesting graph that maybe one day it will change a little bit. So it's mining, agriculture, tourism, and education. That's 90%. Wow. Okay. So another question, and Irma, hopefully not just for you, but how does a government stay in power? How does a politics, how do you say that in Indonesian properly? Keeping a government, what's the number one thing for politics to stay? What do they need to do? The number one goal of a politician. Is that me? Wow, that's cool. Yaman, can I ask you, what's the number one goal of a political party? Anywhere in the world.
Creating more jobs for the people? Yeah.
Silakan. Yeah, I think it's so a politician and a party, a government, everything they want is for the country to become happier and richer and with more jobs and people making a better lives for themselves. That's their number one goal. So it is called, can you click? Anyway, I think the answer, I gave the answer anyway. What they keep is it's basically economic growth. So they just want more jobs and more growth to come through. Do you want to start a quiz while we're waiting?
The quiz will be really easy. I've got a voucher if you could answer the first question. Can anyone tell me two cities in Queensland that was in one of Pak Ben's slides just now? MAP voucher, which you can buy Starbucks with, if you could answer the first question. Okay. Can I see a hand, please? Anyone? Yes?
Brisbane and Gold Coast.
Yes. Thank you. Shall we do one more? The last slide that I just showed, there were a number of Queensland export to other countries. Can anyone name me two, just two?
Mining and agriculture.
Easy. Okay. Other question? We can finish the vouchers by End of your slides. Okay, the third question. What's the... Oh, yeah. What does TIQ stands for? Easy one. TIQ. That's where we're from. TIQ. No. What TIQ stands for? Singkatannya apa? Panjangannya apa? Okay. Thank you.
That's the one.
You continue.
Thank you, Emma. Going to do a new presentation. Okay, that's okay. So I think we talked a little bit about entrepreneurship. So that's the number one important thing for a country. It's the same in Indonesia. It's the same everywhere. We need to have more business. We need to have more people doing business, so we can make more jobs for people. And when more people are having jobs, what do? They'll then spend more money and go shopping more and go to the mall, and that will then create more business, and the economy will grow. So, thank you, Emma. I'm not sure what that is. Okay. So, I think while we're just getting this up, I might just ask if anyone thinks. So in Australia, what we do, we will have our government will give them lots of money and support to create this new business. So what we were talking about before, that's a good one. So everyone turn your heads. Is Indonesia entrepreneurial? Are there entrepreneurs in Indonesia, yes or no? Yeah, I totally agree, and we'll talk a bit about that a bit later and discuss it, but without giving too much, I think Indonesia is probably the most entrepreneurial place I've ever been to. It is just amazing, and in so many ways. So, oh, that's good. So, I think we might launch into that discussion actually, because in Australia what we have government programs that will provide money to support businesses starting. And in Queensland, where I'm from, they've put money in for Queensland businesses to help them develop their innovation, and it's called Advanced Queensland. And in 4 years, it's created about 15,000 new jobs. It's quite good. It sounds like quite a lot. And when you think that in my province, in my state, that it's quite small, 15,000 orang is actually quite high. So it's not bad. Hey, there we go. Thank you. So, with that previous slide, with my very, very cool graphics, what keeps governments in power? Economic growth, and ultimately jobs. Ka-ching. So, studies you know, there have been some studies in Australia that have been done, and they found that innovative entrepreneurship is linked to funding. And so funding means money from the government. So if there's money coming in, there will be more entrepreneurs. The next one is when there are new businesses starting, they then also register a patent and trademark, which means there's more business, but there's also more innovation and technologies and new ways of doing things. It's also with research and development, if they have something like a center of excellence. So it'll be industry, business like an association, business group with the government, and maybe a university like Binus that does research. When they happen with these sort of centers of excellence, there is then more businesses that grow from that. And they say it's 350% more than if there wasn't. So there's more generation of activity. And the last thing is that creative destruction is real. Creative destruction is when there are new businesses that start up, and there are new businesses here, but what happens is the businesses that don't innovate, what happens to them? They slow down and maybe they go out of business. So it's the new businesses come in. So creative destruction, maybe it's not good, but on the other side it means that the businesses have to always be new and innovate. So that was just the last one. That was an interesting study. But because of that, these are just some programs that we have. So for new businesses, you could go overseas and work in Shanghai or in Tel Aviv or in San Francisco near Silicon Valley, set up your business and then invest over there. There's tax incentives, and this is my states they've put $600 million in, $650 million, and that's created in that time 4,500 innovators or entrepreneurs that would be starting up their new business. And this is just in about 4 or 5 years. And 15,000 jobs have been developed. So that's Australia, and we'll talk about Indonesia later, but Australia, because we're so small, we're a big country, but such a small population, I think we need a government to put money in, because we don't have that, we don't have many people that can do investment, not like in Indonesia. So there's a lot of government support and program to generate growth. Otherwise, Australia will just be a nice place with nice beaches and animals that jump around, and nothing, and not a lot of us. Oh, so this is a bit more on Queensland. Brisbane's our capital. So what I want to show here is just a little bit on our cities and what each city has been putting in for innovation and to develop new things. So they have a lot of innovative hubs and startup communities and things like that in Brisbane. Sunshine Coast. It's not very original, is it? That's Australia's 9th largest city, but they have solar companies that have developed solar farms for solar electricity. There's automatic waste collection and things like this. Gold Coast, not very original either. very much tourism, but they have innovative technology for well, all sorts of things. But there's a health and knowledge precinct as well. But it's very much about there are entrepreneurs starting up that are finding ways that the tourists can connect with the city. And tourism in the Gold Coast, tourism and education are the two big things. So there are many students there that want to be connected and connected in a real way. Oh, that's actually the Gold Coast, so that's there. Trying to bring all of these innovators and entrepreneurs that are developing new ways and better ways for the city to work. They want to bring it all together into one under one happy umbrella. Townsville, that's another one as well, so I'll be fairly quick on this, but they do things like smart water and water grids, and these are all businesses that have been supported to develop ways to better their environment. Cairns is tourism as well. It's near the Great Barrier Reef, and so they have very big environmental problems as well. There's one thing there, I think I missed one of the slides. A little bit earlier, there are some global megatrends that I probably didn't talk about. Is it back there at all? Did you see that before? I didn't see it. But there are megatrends that are happening here and in Australia and throughout the world. And can anyone name one of these trends that would be that changes the world so much? I'll start with one, and it's technology. So technology is changing all the time, and we have to move with it. We have to develop. Another one is, of course, online platforms. Yeah. So there are so many ways that we don't have to go to the shops. We can order and do things online, and how that transforms how the businesses and the malls and the shops, how do they now do their business to compete? What else is there? One is actually, especially in Australia, a big trend in Australia is that we are aging. We're getting older. So I'm getting older very much. But in Australia, it's an aging population. And one day in Indonesia, it might be the same, but it might be further down. But with that, we have to develop ways that we can serve and help our elderly, our parents and our grandparents. Another one is that we're on the move a lot. Yeah, so we use our mobile phones and we just travel and we do things. We're not stuck in one place. We're not stuck in an office. We're not stuck in at work. We're not stuck at home. We're not stuck in a lecture theatre. It's much more mobile, and there's different ways of transportation and communication to get places, but also to communicate as well. That's a massive trend. So that slide, where it was meant to be, the importance of that is that it does show that there are these things changing in our world, and we need to adapt. And if we don't adapt, we fall behind. And personally, I think I'm going to ask the question now, with all of those trends that are happening in the world, online platforms, technology explosion, mobility of people, easy to get around. Urbanization, there are more people wanting to move to the cities now. So what does that do? That in Australia, 90% of the people in Australia live in the city, live on the coast. So what that does, even though we're a small population, they want to do more services and more things near the beach. So that's the other one. So there's urbanization, there's an aging population. So all of these things make it important to generate that new business. So my question is Indonesia entrepreneurial? And why?
Anyone would like to try? Got another voucher. Ada yang mau jawab? Mungkin ada yang mau bantu jawab? Ayo. Kalau nggak saya tunjuk nih kalau nggak mau. Sekarang lah. Ada yang mau? Ayo. So do you think Indonesia is entrepreneur?
Yes, I think that Indonesia is a entrepreneurial country because the majority of our population owns businesses, and either that or they work for themselves.
And that's thank you. And that's the the majority of Indonesians do. Outside, you see people have their own business, and the key here is that entrepreneurialism is not about creating a new app or anything with technology. It could be setting up your warung down the road and serving that community with that. That's entrepreneurial. It's starting up your own business and generating that work. Then we have the innovative entrepreneurial. So most definitely, Indonesia is incredibly entrepreneurial. And this is my view that you have such an enormous country, and it's driven by consumption, to consume, and there are lots of hurdles sometimes to, or ways to do things better. So that creates an opportunity for so many clever people, much smarter than me, to be able to find ways to do things better. Name one is Goldjet is just one which is the ultimate entrepreneurial business that's just changed the way we do things, and it's amazing. But then all the other big ones as well, like Tokopedia, they've done things that have solved a problem in Indonesia in a market that consumes a lot. It's wonderful. The startup community here is growing. It was very small about 5 years ago, and it's growing enormously from actual startup businesses and innovative hubs to incubator and accelerator rooms as well. It's gone up many hundreds of percent over those years, and it's because there's this community of entrepreneurs that are developing their expertise and their business, and with that comes jobs. As I said, there are 4 Indonesian unicorns. Does anyone know what a unicorn is? Hey, what's a unicorn? A big prize awaits.
Anyone want to try what unicorn is? Definition of unicorn?
I just said one of them. A unicorn. I just said one.
No Google.
Startup.
Unicorn.
Here.
Out of 3, I'll give you 1. It's very close. It's a startup, but it's a special startup. It's a startup that's already valued at $1 billion, $1 billion US dollars, I think. And there are 7 unicorns, what they call these unicorns, in ASEAN. There are 7 only. And 4 of those 7 unicorns are here in Indonesia. Can you name those ones? We've got 4 prizes on offer. 4 unicorns in Indonesia.
Like Project, Tokopedia,
1, 2.
Grab.
Grab is, but it's Malaysian, I think.
Bukalapak.
Bukalapak. And 1 more starts with T.
One more maybe Traveloka.
Correct. Well done. So they're the unicorns, and I'm certain there are more to come, and there are a number of other probably like Bukalapak and things like those sort of businesses that are just about to go into that status. There are about 3 or 4, in fact, that are going to do that. And so Indonesia is one of these markets. It's amazing that there is that entrepreneurial spirit, with also an enormous market here of consumers, and it's a very exciting time, I think, to be in this country. Well, that's nearly it. Are there any questions? And these are double prizes, I think, for questions, huh? Unless, Emma, do you want to start any discussion?
So now we open the question and answer session.
Yeah, sure.
We open the opportunity first for the students in this room. There is any who would like to raise a question? Question, comment, suggestion even? They are appreciated. So yes, please say your name, your jurusan maybe.
Hello, sir. My name is Fabian. You can call me Brian. Okay, so we're here from the civil engineering, and I would like to ask, how to start a business? I mean, how can we form the idea? How can we know that this business will be success? Thank you.
Wow. I wish I knew. If I knew, I'd be doing it too. But the first thing you do is you see a gap, and you know, I think there are a few steps. The first one is, what are you good at? It's really simple. What are you good at? And also what you love doing. And how you can combine that with where's the problem in the market and that opportunity out there. There are 2 sides. It's what you love doing, and will people want to be part of your business as well and buy. the nice thing about engineer, I wish I was an engineer. I did marketing. Marketing's fun, by the way, it's good. But, I think with engineering you have technical. Yeah, you understand the technical aspect and the marketing and the business that can come later as well. So if you can have your technical understanding combined with the business, no problem at all. But the key is find what you love doing, know your strengths with all your team, and then see where the new business could be and find where your customer is. And I think there are lots of ways that you can start a business without failing. You can just do little baby steps as well, and not set up a big business. But you can just do part-timer at the start, you know, and just do a little bit as a hobby, and then let it grow after that. That's my thought. Thank you.
If not, I will open a question from one of the students from our online learning. So he has a question on the extent of the support from the government to create the bilateral economic cooperation in Australia and Indonesia.
In Australia, yeah, as I said before, it's something that it's very important, and the government. There's an election coming, and we have a pemilu on the weekend in Australia, and all they talk about, there are two sides, and both sides are talking about jobs, jobs, jobs. And the only way they can do this and to create more jobs is to give support and invest. So there's a lot of money invested in the businesses from the government to try to find these new areas that we can succeed. I think I don't know that there might be a little bit of money in Indonesia, but I think Indonesia is very different to Australia, and that's the big difference. As I said before, we have a very small population, and it's quite expensive to invest in Australia too, into these businesses. So the only way is sometimes for the governments to put money back in to these services and to find these new businesses to grow. I think in Indonesia, it's probably easier to start up a business and possibly also to get the investment as well from private or private investment from Indonesians, or from, if you're good enough, you'd get private investment from outside Indonesia as well. But in Australia, our problem, as I said, is because we're small. We have a small population, and it's difficult to make money at the start. So the government then will put lots of money in just to give that little bit of help up, and so I think that's why we use a lot of money and to invest in new business.
So you are saying that also human resource is a critical factor, that also Indonesia has the advantage because we have big population.
Yeah, that's right. It's the human resource is yeah. I mean, you've got a big population for two things: for employment, but also for the market, for consuming. Niche, yeah. In Australia, there are all those things that I was showing before about solar-powered waste bins and different bits of transport and travel and innovation. That's being done because people want it. So the government then will invest the money to then find some businesses that can do that. And they do. But without the government, there wouldn't be anyone. It's too expensive in Australia, so yeah, they have to do it.
Thank you. That was the question from Mr. Nurgianto from our student from online program. I hope that answers your question. Now we switch again.
We'll send him a prize later. We'll get a prize in the mail.
We will. So we switch the questions again. We give the opportunity for the students in this room.
I haven't been called a young man since 1992.
Hello sir, my name is Giles. I'm from civil engineering, and I want to ask a question about it's difficult to make a new own business in Australia. I mean, yes, I think it's hard to make a new own business in Australia, like license or outside.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you. That's a great question. To set up a business in Australia is very easy. Just to set up what you call what's your business number here? ABN. It's called an Australian business number. You can set that up straight away. But then yes, there are other licenses that you need depending on what you do. The problem in Australia, what's expensive is, yes, some of those licenses and certificates if you're making things, but it's just an expensive, with a small market, that's where the high cost is to penetrate the market. As a startup business, it's very difficult, which is why as a startup business here, it's better because you have more customers. So the high cost is not so much licenses, it's easy to set up a business. The high cost is more on surviving and trying to find that market, which goes back to now where the government gives that little bit of help to give money to help these businesses for 1, maybe 2 years. Is that about right? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So another question could be others.
My name is Owen. I'm from civil engineering. You before have mentioned that human resources are pretty important, but is it really that important since nowadays everything got replaced by robots? Like in Japan, their factory are mostly replaced by robots. Sometimes the hotel also got replaced by robots. So is human resources really that important nowadays?
That's a good question. When you said for commercial, for people, is this what you mean? Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's an interesting question actually, and it's something for the floor, because the idea of innovative entrepreneurship, and when I talk about people, it's not about the employment. A little bit, but it's more about the customer. But I know what you mean about creating the jobs. You still need people in the work, even if everything is mechanized or with robots. But it's an interesting question because from Queensland we have some innovative technology, and they want to come in for agriculture. They want to come to Indonesia, but it's not very popular. It will be popular, and it is. But what happens is it replaces people as well, and it's an interesting thing that sometimes, yeah, innovation and technology is great, and it makes the world easier, and it makes things easier to operate. But people still need to work. So, how? What do you think? It's really interesting. I don't know the answer, and I think it's something that yeah, in Australia, because also when I say expensive, it's very expensive for labour to employ someone in Australia. It's very to do anything. So to stop that labour and to have more either robots or technology, it's good, it saves costs. And here we'll do the same, but yeah, it's that creative destruction where it can reduce some jobs as well. But I believe that with entrepreneurialism and the more of these businesses that start, there will be more jobs created anyway, even though there's the technology makes things easier. Maybe it's just optimistic. But thank you.
Thank you. And also, I think I saw someone from there raising your hand. Next question,
My name is Sugio. I'm from architecture. I'd like to ask, what is the best strategy to grow your business-wise as a student? Wow. I mean, I run a business about photography itself, but it never grows. Like, it's just stuck in there. So, what is the best advice for me to grow that business?
Thank you, that's amazing. What's your business?
I'm doing photography and videography.
Awesome. Yeah, it's one of the ways I think is to find your niche, to find what you are awesome at, to find what you're better than anyone else at, and then really go out to and use the social media to push that as well, to really show what you're doing as well on social. That it's a wonderful platform. It's also very loud as well. There's also lots of other people the same as you doing that as well. I think it's also, to get to that next step, there's a lot of goodwill as well, probably. You need a lot of people on your side, so you might want to do some free work. Maybe not free work, but you know what I mean? Just get and have people and businesses that can say you're the best. And as soon as you have a community of fans and friends, is when it will grow. So try to get that community, I think, and build that up. And I think you can have a community, and it will be loyalty as well, based with newsletters, and you can just work on that side, and you can just build that up. I think it costs money as well, because you're doing a lot of free time and maybe giving some things away, but I think that's the way to build at the start. What's offline nowadays?
I mean, online advertising, like I can sell myself through like, social media and stuff, but offline, is it necessary or no?
I wonder, yeah. We only ever hear about online now, don't we? And offline, I mean, the other mediums, no, but I think also when you're saying promoting, you're promoting yourself. So in terms of offline, offline media and offline marketing, that's you. And seriously, that's what it is. So it's not advertising your business, but you being out in person is advertising your business. So that would be the offline marketing, I think. So you still do you go on the new technologies, on the social, but then you have to be out and present as the face of your company. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Diandra. I'm from the Faculty of Design, and I have this question is more on your opinion. For example, so you touched on the topic of the increasingness of online platforms and business, right? Do you think that online business can soon be affecting to local normal shops? Because since, as you said, it's more convenient for people to go online and just shop online, do you think that it could affect local businesses who've been there for a long time, but since they don't really have any online businesses and they only set up a shop, do you think it could affect them negatively, and how do you think they can combat that?
I agree very much. I'll give you two stories. One, first of all, in Australia, it's a very big thing in Australia at the moment. The retailers, the shops, are complaining all the time. They're saying it's not fair because it's less business. We're not making money anymore because everyone's buying online. And I'm not hearing that here. I go to a mall and I like buying things. I like walking into a shop and buying an iPad, or I don't want to buy online. I still want to go in but maybe 2-3 weeks ago I went to one of the stores to ask, do you have this model? No. When do you get it in? We don't know. But I want to buy one. Well, buy it online. I'm like, wow. So it's still that thinking of buy online without thinking if everyone buys online, there won't be these guys won't have a job. So yeah, my opinion is that Indonesia will reach that problem very, very quickly. Everything that happens here happens quickly, and it's an issue in Australia, and I think the way they do it is, I think somehow the government manages the pricing. So if you're buying something online, it will be a bit more expensive than in the shops, and that makes it more convenient. But if I go to the shop and I can't, I spend 1 hour in the traffic and then I can't buy it, what am I going to do? I'm just going to buy it online. But yeah, I think they're trying to change that in Australia, that you can buy online but you have to pay more. And maybe that makes them a little happier. But it's very hard to manage that as well. There's a lot of discounts online. So yeah, it's fascinating. And that's one of the big challenges for businesses here, with that they don't have an online presence. How can you survive if you probably can with your own community, and that's fine just to do that. But to grow your business now, I don't know how you can really grow a business without being online. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Another questions maybe? There is any from the students?
Alright, my name is Wesley Chandra and I came from architecture department. Maybe this question is a little bit out of topic, but do you think is it okay for us to have a job that is not related with our own major, because that thing is happening right now in Indonesia? Thank you.
Of course, yeah. Thank you. That's a good question, and I did. We've both done lots of degrees. My degree was in something very general. It's good, business and marketing and commerce. So for me to do something unrelated, well, it's okay because what I did was general. What I'm trying to say is the great thing about university, whatever you study, is that you learn to learn, and you're learning to evaluate and to assess and to ask questions and things like that. So you may at the moment think that if you do something unrelated, you think it is, but it really isn't. Whatever you do, you're doing it because you love doing whatever it is. It is related somehow to what you study. So you're doing architecture, and if you want to get into racing car driving, there'll be something in there. It'll be to do with what you love. And what you're learning here in your study is training your thinking to find what you love. Does that make sense? You probably, there are lots of people who in Australia and probably here who they call themselves futurists, and that means that they try to talk about trends and what's going to happen in the future, and none of them do. But what they all say is that your generation, my generation, which is probably your parents' age, have a few jobs in their career. Not so many. I've had quite a few jobs, more than my friends. But you guys are going to have many more jobs. I don't think it's the time of you can work for a company for 30 years, unless it's government. But you'll be doing lots of amazing things depending on the environment and the change and all of these wonderful things that are happening around us.
Thank you. And also, I think still related to this discussion, a question from our student in online learning, from Fatty from Binus online learning. She is concerned that the young generation now, they don't have the mindset of becoming an entrepreneur, and instead they prefer to joining an existing company. So maybe if you can give few words of encouragement, how to grow the passion, how to grow the enthusiasm to open a business.
Wow, that's a really good question, and I wish I could answer it from experience. But I could be one of those lazy people that has chosen to work for a company and not being entrepreneurial. But a lot of my friends are entrepreneurs, so they started business in Australia because they wanted to, and they knew that there was a problem and they could do that job. I think there is always going to be room for entrepreneurs, and I think it's in the world, it's growing, the number of entrepreneurs, and it's going to continue to grow here in Indonesia as well, as long as there are opportunities and there are gaps to do things better. It's down to risk and what you want to do, and I think, yeah, it's safe. It's safer to work for the company or a government or to do that. But with a company, often, unless it's Google or one of the technology companies, they're not going to change the world and do innovate and do amazing things. There are some. It's these people that can see where that gap is to be able to step out and make that difference. So yeah, I think entrepreneurship will be growing in Indonesia, and Epi has nothing to worry about.
So thank you. So to be smart in seeing the opportunity, seeing the gap in the market as well. So hopefully that also answer Fatty's question on online learning. Maybe we'll open the last question. There is still many.
So my name is Raihan. I'm from business management. I want to ask what the TIQ been doing to attract the investment from Indonesia, and then what kind of industry needed in Queensland? I mean, like needed to invest in.
Sure.
Thank you.
Queensland and Indonesia are actually very similar. Yeah, we're very good at farming and agriculture, and we have lots of mining. The interest for Indonesia in Queensland is, what have we got that Indonesia doesn't have? Land. We have lots of land, and there are parts of Queensland that are tropical, like Indonesia. Maybe half of Queensland is tropical. So we can grow anything there that can be grown here, but we have the land. So yeah, there are some companies that are big companies, and mainly in the food processing, that are looking at Queensland or Australia or Northern Australia to look at doing that. So purchasing the land and farming to then re-export either back here to Indonesia or to Asia. I think if Indonesians investing in Australia or in Queensland are not looking at Queensland or Australia as their market. They look at their market back here, because this is where the consumer is. So that's probably where it is. We've had, actually last year there was the largest Indonesian investor in Australia is in Queensland, and they bought a coal mine in Queensland. But I don't think that coal is even exported back to Indonesia. They bought it there, and it goes straight to Japan and China. So yeah, those businesses there, they see what Australia has in that way. In terms of innovation, and there's lots of innovators in Australia, in Queensland, that are looking for investment. And they're coming, my office is coming to me saying, bring some Indonesian investors in to invest. And my question to them is, why? Why do they want to invest in Queensland unless they can bring that technology back to Indonesia? And that's, I think there are some that are looking for those sort of technologies and innovations. It's only a good technology and innovation if it can work here. If not, Australia is too small. So yeah, investment in Australia will be from Indonesia, will be with the intention of coming back to this enormous market. Thank you.
So that was the last question, but I will open as well for the very last question. Which one? The very last.
Hello, my name is Terry. Maybe this is maybe your personal.
Sure.
How do you advertise your business, except from social media, from your friends, or maybe what? Other ways than from social media.
Yeah. Well, for me personally, it's not so much. Well, it's interesting actually because we're a small office, and even though we're government, we have our problem, and I should be careful with him, but our problem here is that no one knows us. Everyone knows Australia, but not many people know Queensland. So yeah, you're right, we can do social, but it's also, how do we promote? It's to do things like this. This is not our business. When our business is to bring companies to Indonesia, or for students to go. But part of starting a business and running a business is to build awareness. And in a place like here, where there's so much happening, it's very hard to get that awareness. So it's important through friends, through references, through fans, basically. So whatever you do, fans, like you're just, they love what you do. They love what you do, and they endorse what you do. And I think that's really important. You see on LinkedIn with all these, sometimes I think that's rubbish. And you know what I mean? You can always get people to write a nice thing about you. But I think in business, if you've got endorsement and you have a large supporter base and a network, and word of mouth, of course, is, for a small business, word of mouth is the key. And you all know the best restaurants here in Jakarta, don't you? You know what I mean? You know where the best are they. You know the best soto betawi. And the best soto betawi is down at Ajimama, down at Serpong. I don't know this from social media. I only know it from word of mouth, from people talking. And so that's very much, the word of mouth is the key as well. And using your supporters and your friends to be able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, one more. The very last question.
How do you convince customers to buy products online? Some people still worry about the quality of the product, like the wrong size or something like that. How do you convince them that you can buy?
It's interesting because I've never done that. I've never sold a product online. It's a really interesting point because I'm a traditional consumer. Yeah, I'm going to pass it on to Emma. My view is, how do you do it? I'm going to leave it to her because I'm a traditional consumer who wants to, I want to be convinced. And unless it's a brand, I don't know what I'm getting. Emma.
I'll try to answer the last question because I am an online consumer, so I know exactly what you're referring to. So it's one time that I bought online shoes. So what the lady did to me, which was really, I think, sweet, I told her, oh, I don't think I'll buy that because I don't think it could fit because I'm not right. And it's in Kemang, it's too far, just to go there, it's too far. So what she offered, she sent me the shoes, a few pairs of shoes, and let me try it for a few days. So my husband told me, oh, you're going to buy it more than a pair. No, I'll just buy a pair. But I ended up buying 2 pairs of shoes. So I think a trial would be good. So just try the shoes. Make sure that it doesn't fit in your products. I think that's one of the way
Thank you, that's amazing. Wow, I might go to that shoe shop.
So that's also one of the ways of giving samples to customers. Let's sum up the whole question and answer session and also the end of the session today. Let us give a very big applause.
Thank you very much. And I should add, actually, do you want to put is there our details there at all as well? If any of you ever need to contact our office and find more things out, either about Queensland or doing business with Australia, you are more than welcome to contact us. I think I had it on the screen, the last slide. There we go. So that's our sites as well. So and I've got a few cards as well. So if you need to contact me as well, you're more than welcome.
Thank you. Right now they are still students, but we believe you are all future successful entrepreneurs. So also as a token of appreciation, we would like to invite India, the director of Binus Global, to give a small token of appreciation to you. And as well, for the students who are participating in this room, as well as the students from online learning, I'd like to say thank you so much for participating, and I will see you again in another opportunity, another occasion.